he helps people and he does things for the right reason, but he's an absolute savage.
You've come into the sport, and I say for the right reasons because it's not always the case. And you've done this transition now into management. You're the co-founder of Summit Sports with, is it Oliver?
Okolie, yeah.
Yeah, Oliver. Is it Vinegard? I've said that right.
Yeah, well done.
And obviously the voice of boxing, Adam Smith.
Yeah.
So how did that come about in comparison to, you know, you're here, you're coaching, you're on one side, and then all of a sudden, because it seems to me like there's a massive, people really trust you in order and trust what you say in order to have brought you onto the kind of business side of things.
I mentioned before, I like to learn. I'm a lifelong learner. I think I'll always, I think someone gave me a quote. It's like, when you're through learning, you're through. I.e., your life's done. Like, and I just want to do more, learn more, better myself. And I think as an athlete, as a basketball player, I had agents. I had some really good agents. I had a couple of ones that weren't perhaps very good. I had an agent that looked after me in the worst possible. I got injured. My team was not paying me. They were trying to kick me out of the house. I needed the surgery. And I had an agent that stuck by me. And I respected that a lot. And I said, without you, I would have been fucked. Like, and I just, in the back of my mind, it's like, I want to help people. I want. So as an S&C coach, I get to help people. I get them to achieve their dream. And yes, it's my business. And yes, I'm very entrepreneurial. I've got a few little side hustles that I have and whatnot. But ultimately, I don't do it for money. If I wanted to earn money, I'd go into banking because I'm quite smart with numbers. Yeah. But I don't. I love my job and I love helping people. But yes, I've got a right to earn a living and a good living because I'm good at what I do. But that's not my motivation. And I think it was Bob Marley said, if you just focused on money, it's a number. A number is infinite, so you'll never be happy because there's no end to it. And it's true, because I know lots of people with lots of money and they're still chasing money. And it's like, why? Like, chase happiness, chase fulfillment. And I get that from my work. As the opportunity came around, I always dabbled in the idea of being an agent. I quite liked that. I liked working in sports. And the opportunity came, having got my second's license. After 3 years, you can get your manager's license. And I didn't really have a plan to be a manager. I just thought I can get it, so why not get it?
Right.
So I was a bit naive. I went into the management license interview and got ripped to shreds because I didn't know enough, because I was a bit naive. They sent me away.
Did they say, I hope you're going to use this?
It was a bit embarrassing, if I've got to admit. And shout out to Dennis. Dennis took me aside and said, I believe in you. I think you can do this. Just go away and learn and come back in 6 months. Came back in 6 months, and boy, did they grill me. Dennis and Mick, they grilled me for, there was another guy in there, he's a referee, his name escapes me. But they grilled me for about 45 minutes, and they weren't playing. And I stood up to them, and I knew my rules, and I knew my book. And I got my manager's license, and I was really proud of myself, because I was like, I did this. And they even said to me, why do you want to do it? And my simple response is, I want to help people. And they said, but why? And I said, because there's a lot of people out there that take advantage of people for the wrong reasons. And if I can help one person, then it's worthwhile. I'm not an angel. I'm not some guy come here to save everyone and change the life of boxing. But if I can help people and I give them a better experience, a better opportunity, get them a sponsorship, get them a good fight with a good deal and know they're going to get paid. If I can do that, then I've done the right thing. And I'm really enjoying the journey. And even working with a business partner is very challenging for me, because I've run my own business. I've been my own basketball player. I've always controlled my own destiny as a basketball player. I then became self-employed. I then started do training as a director and the founder. I've always worked for myself. I always answered to myself. And now I have a business partner who perhaps does things a different way to what I do them.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's infuriating.
Yeah.
But I realize that there's more ways to skin a cat than my way.
In order for you to grow business-wise, you have to have partners.
Yeah. And he's taught me a lot. Like, he's from the legal side. Like, he's taught me a lot about contracts and stuff. And hopefully I've taught him a lot about dealing with people and dealing with situations and being patient, maybe. I think I'm a bit more patient than he is. But again, it's a challenge. It's a daily challenge. I wake up and I'm annoyed with that, or I'm unhappy. I haven't got the response I want, or well, we're not going in the direction we want to, or we're seeing I'm working on this slowly, but he's more like we need to push this, and so again, that's growth, and I'm enjoying it. I've got Sophie, who's an amazing, talented female boxer from Germany, living in Spain.
Tremendous fighter.
She's 9-0. She's really exciting. She's 22. She's fantastic in front of the camera. She's got really good social following.
But to be fair, it's just about waiting to see if she can put it together, because it's such a shame that I've interviewed her and she's probably one of the most professional people that I've ever interviewed. And I think I told you that after. The utmost respect for this kid. But she, you know, she understands the business and there's no complaining and moaning. She just gets on and does it. And I think once she has this next fight, there's going to be such a growth in her following, I believe, because she does have the talent. She's not just a social media darling. She really does have the talent.
She was our first signing, but she had an outstanding contract that was in arrears or whatever you want to say. And shout out to Okolie, who's worked really hard with Sophie's legal team as well, like her family advisor, that had managed to rebuild a broken relationship with Westman, and we're really excited about the future. She's got a good family around her. Her dad's very involved with her career and has very strong opinions about what she should do and what she should be, but has the self-awareness to know that he can't do it himself, and he's hired us, and he lets us do our job. And with Adam along, because Adam's fantastic at telling people's story and just engaging with people. I'm excited for Sophie, and we've signed 2 other boxers. We've got Kyle Davies, who is only been small hall selling ticket seller, but I think in the new year we're gonna get him a promotional deal. It's been mandatory for the Midlands area, just haven't been able to make that fight because no one wants to put the money up. We're here to try and change that. He spars everyone, spars Callum Simpson, Anthony Yard, Dan Aziz. Dan Aziz's S&C coach Yusuf was the guy that recommended him to us, so shout out to Yusuf for that. Met with Carl and Joe, his coach and co-manager. Like we're doing good things from a social side, from a content side, building him up. So when he does get the opportunity to fight in a big show, we're going to have all that ready so he can really capitalize on that, because his performance will handle it himself. And then we've got Naraldo, who's 14-0 Albanian, 14-0, 11 knockouts. He's actually in the gym now, working with one of my guys. A fantastic guy, good personality.
Been hearing a lot about this
he's
kid.
been hard work. We had some visa issues which we've resolved. Again, I learned a lot handling that. And then we've signed some MMA fighters, some golfers. We signed one of my athletes who's a Paralympic gold medalist. But that's more from the commercial side. And I really believe like we're doing it for the right reasons and trying to help people. And when I look at some of the managers out there, they're doing fantastic, and some of them aren't doing very much at all. And I speak to boxers and they're like, yeah, my manager was shit. He's not doing this, that, and the other. And ultimately, another quote is like, people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's how I try to be. Like, I care about you being successful. If that's with me or that's without me, it doesn't matter. If I build a relationship with you, I care about your progress. So I believe that we, as Summit Sport, can do great jobs for people.
And I've heard that you encourage your staff to think like entrepreneurs. Where did that entrepreneurial spirit come from?
For me, I used to sell, I used to get my dad to photocopy WWF wrestling cartoons and give me, like, he'd go to work and give me like 20 and I'd sell them at school. Or I'd get £2 off my mum and go to the co-op or the Star, it was the Star shop or the Happy Shopper before school, and spend £2 on sweets and then at break time sell them so I'd make £4. So I've always tried to make money, and then I got into sport. But I think from an athlete perspective, you are your brand. I dislike social media. I think it causes lots of problems.
Necessary evil, though.
Exactly. I'm not naive enough to think it's not important. I have a hard time with it, but I'm learning, and I can hire people to do it, so I don't have to mess with it. But you are your brand, and whatever you look at Ben Whittaker, I have fantastic following, and then one incident happens, it's handled the wrong way. He's disappeared, which I think is bad.
I think that was a bad move.
Yeah, it just come out like Fraser's done a fantastic job. Fraser's come out, it's different scenarios. Obviously, Fraser got knocked out, but he's come out, he's And I've got a lot of respect for that.
But I also think that you should, if you are going to be on social media for the wins, you've got to be on social media for the losses. I've seen this with fighters when they've had a loss and then they don't go back in the gym. And I think that's the hardest thing. Get back in the gym. If you had the loss on the Saturday, get back in the gym on the Monday, even if it's to show your face. Do you know what I'm saying?
Ultimately, I had a chat with a boxer, quite a well-known boxer, and she took a loss, and she's got a good social media following, and she felt like when she went places, people didn't necessarily care about the loss, like it was all in her head, and she went to do her modelling contracts and stuff, and she quite enjoyed it and jumped back on social media or whatever. I think it's very important, like you spend all this time building up a following, building up a narrative, building up a story. So the story didn't pan out how it's meant to, but that's life.
So like, what? Yeah.
Paint another narrative.
Yeah.
Like make fun of yourself, maybe. Show your personality, show your resilience. People respect that. Like people like underdog stories. They like comeback kings. It's been shown. So there's opportunities there to do that. And at Summit, we're trying to create personality. As Adam Smith always says, he says, I'm here to tell a story. I'm not creating content, I'm telling a story. I want to tell your story. And people care about stories, and they do. And I appreciate you asking me to do this interview because I got a chance to tell my story. And I don't like doing things like this, but I've actually really enjoyed the last, hour and a half talking about my story and things I've done. Because ultimately, when you're gone, that's all you have, right? Mm-hmm. What impact did you have? What story did you leave? So yeah, like boxing's going to be ruthless to people. It's going to be cold. It's going to be hard. You can be on top one day, you lose, you're on the bottom. It happened to Lawrence. Lawrence was world champion, and then almost no one cared about him when he lost. He's come back, great, good job. O'Hara Davis talked about it a lot in different type of language, but he talked about it a lot. Like,
explicit.
And I get it. I understand why he feels that way. Totally. But it's your opportunity as an athlete, whether you're in boxing or not. You've got your 15 minutes of fame. It might be 15 years, or it might be 2 years, or you might be on top for a little bit, or you might go down. But it's your responsibility to harness that and create something meaningful out of it, whether that's creating new relationships or new partnerships or financially getting sponsorships, creating a brand. Because ultimately, when you leave the sport, what are you going to do? When I left basketball, I was smart enough to have worked towards something. So when I left basketball, I had something to move into. And I have lots of teammates. Unfortunately, I've lost a couple of friends that have transitioned from a sport and couldn't handle the transition and took their own lives. And that's sad. But it's a responsibility of the athlete, and then putting people around them to create something where you can move into things. Luke Campbell, I spent a bit of time with him. He did a fantastic job of building gyms up in Hull, and he kind of runs Hull now. He's like the mayor of Hull. I haven't spoken to him for a while, but shout out to Luke. Like he put some things in place to have a career after. Anthony Fowler, like unbelievable what he's doing with his Supreme CBD stuff. Like really proud of him. From trying to win a British title to going on like fighting Liam Smith and stuff. That was a tough night for him in Liverpool. You know, his reputation was on the line. Clout in Liverpool was on the line. He took the loss, but he's done amazing things since then and earning a lot of money and raising a beautiful family. These are great stories, but for every one of those, there's 10 that are not. One of Fowler's opponent, Fitzgerald. I don't know what's happened to him.
Fitzgerald, yeah.
But I heard a lot of bad things that happened to him, and it's sad. Doesn't have the right people around him, or maybe he did, but he just didn't listen. Whatever it may be, like.
But people abandon people. People abandon people. Some people are there for the journey on the up, and as soon as there's a downturn, it's like they're looking around for the next kind of person to hop on. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think it's easier nowadays for people to have that platform on social media. And that's what I do think social media is good for these days, because back in the day, you'd hear of like boxers making millions throughout their career. And through obviously bad management and having a bad group of people around them, they've lost money. I think, didn't Tyson lose money?
There's loads of stuff, like in basketball, American football, like these signed multi. There's a documentary on a guy called Antoine Walker, played for the Boston Celtics, signed the biggest contract at the time in the NBA, something like 120 million. They made a documentary about him because he lost it all. He went bankrupt. And it's madness. And I actually remember telling Lawrence that story and showing him it because he was starting to get into the money. This was like pre kind of Chamberlain fight. So he was starting to earn a bit of money, spending it probably on the wrong things, but enjoying himself. So fair play. Enjoy your success, enjoy your hard work, but invest. And then I've had conversations with him since, and he's like, yeah, I get it now. Like, it took him a few years to get it, but he's got a restaurant. And then maybe it was the birth of his son, but whatever it was, he's got a restaurant now. He's investing in himself. He's creating a future beyond boxing. But I think when you box, you have to really focus on boxing. Otherwise, you'll get pulled apart and you won't succeed and you'll get beat. But Summit is around to try and create that environment around the boxer so they can 100% focus on boxing while they're doing boxing. And then we can create other avenues for them to become successful away from boxing. When it's time to move away, they're moving away in a good position. And not just boxers, other athletes as well. So that's something that we're really trying hard to do, because like you say, some managers just care about the next fight. Oh, let's get you this money, but what are you doing with that money when you get? And then if we can get like a long-term plan, like we're talking to Naraldo, it's not just about this fight, it's what's the plan.
Yes.
So we could have taken small hall shows to give him a couple of grand months ago, but that doesn't help him get to where we're trying to plan. So we were patient. He was less patient, but we were patient, and we had to deal with his less patientness. But we got there. Fingers crossed, nothing comes up, and he's able to fight on the Box Nation show. And if he does well and performs, because ultimately it always comes down to that, for the most part, then the plan will keep moving forward for him, and hopefully he can make a bit of money and do whatever he wants in life. And we've got some ideas on what he wants to do, so we're trying to help him with that.
How easy or hard is it to find, I think you just mentioned that you want to keep the athletes focused on the boxing, but as soon as that money starts to trickle in, the good money, the big money, how do you find that balance of, trying to get that money and invest it in their offering kind of life?
Well, education again, right? It's the conversation we had earlier about having people around you that are there for the right reasons. So that's the positive, because they can keep you grounded. They can keep you in, you might have some people that want to enjoy the come up, that are in your circle, but then that's ultimately what you need to figure out, those characters. The more successful you get, the smaller your circle becomes. But like Lawrence, he's got a lifelong friend that he's gone into business with. That's now his advisor on boxing, and they've gone into business with the restaurant, Timber. And that's good, because it is helping Lawrence stay grounded and focusing on what's coming next. But you've got the opposite. You might have some hangers-on that want to enjoy that, but having good people around you and educating. But I've seen lots of athletes that have wasted all their money. Even now, like the athletes I train, they're making money. Some basketball players, they want to walk around with nice jewellery and designer labels, but it's like, well, you've got a son and you're renting. Like, come on. Like, there's only one thing that's important here. That's providing a good life for your son. It's not how you look going into the club or sitting courtside at a game. It's like, no, secure your shit and then enjoy what the fruits of your labour bring you. And then Josh Buatsi, again, it's nice to see what he's doing. He just posted a video yesterday. We're going back to Ghana. I've been to Ghana. Ghana's a beautiful place. Loved it out there. And yeah, doing the right things.
He's a nice human being, though, isn't he? It's one of those. He's showing a different side to himself. Obviously, it was the video that Duncan is talking about is that he and his cousin's family have gone and they've bought stuff for a local orphanage. And he's obviously been doing work with them for a long time. And again, it's nice to see somebody that uses their platform in that way.
But Josh is a very private person. I remember he fought Liam Conroy for the British title and beat Liam Conroy in 3 rounds at the Copper Box. And then it came out about a month later, 2 months later, that Josh paid for Liam Conroy's medical.
Yes.
So he could continue to box, because Liam didn't have enough money. But he never told anyone that. Liam told that. I know for a fact he's done stuff for people within the gym here. He comes and he creates friendships and he's helped them out. But he does things like that, but not for the reward. Or maybe for the good feeling he gets. But I think it's maybe just because he likes to help people and use his platform to help people. He's a very religious man, has a very strong team around him, Kevin and Dwayne. They're always at the fights. He wouldn't be there without them, like wherever it is. And fortunately, I'm part of that now. He brings me in for fight week. I rarely see him outside of fight week. If he's in San Francisco or if he's in London, he'll pop in and do some sessions. But otherwise, he's like, I want you there for fight week. Of course I do. Like, we're good. We're a team. Like, we're working together. And I love that. It's great. It's huge value. And like I said, he pays me for my time. But it's not. I'm not even bothered about that. It's about being part of his journey and what he's doing. And fingers crossed, he can get some big fights with some big money, because ultimately that's what everyone wants. But he can get a world title too, because he deserves one.
He did something for me one day, which I just thought, what a gentleman. The one time that I've interviewed him, the only one time.
He's hard work.
So
man,
Josh, if you're watching at some stage. I'm going to hunt you down for a second interview, for a podcast interview. I was out down in Portsmouth with a coach that I've known for over 20 years, and he happened to be down, Josh happened to be down in Portsmouth as well. He was meeting with a lot of the kids there, and I filmed a little bit of it. I actually had gone down for another reason, but he happened to be there. So I filmed him and then did an interview with him. And then myself, Josh and Q went for something to eat. He asked me how I was getting home. And I said, well, no, he asked me if I was staying. I said, oh, I'm getting the train home, because at that point I was actually coaching at that gym. And he was like, what, you're going to get the train? I said, yeah, I'll get there. I don't know whether it was 11 o'clock train or something like that. Anyway, I think I'd gone to the toilet and he spoke to Q and he said, she can't get the train home at that time. And he paid for a hotel room for me to stay overnight because he didn't want me to get the train home. He said, I can't let a woman.
Yeah, but a lot of people wouldn't have that mindset to even think about.
That's what I'm saying.
So there'd be people that'd be willing to do that for people, but they wouldn't think that the need to do that.
But I've heard so many good things about this person anyway. It wasn't just that, but that act of kindness, I was like, do you know what? He's the real deal. It doesn't feel to me like he's doing it for the gram.
No, and he's not. He's a genuine person, and I think it comes across like, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
and that's why I want him to succeed, because he deserves to.
100%,
and he will succeed, because he's big into faith, and he helps people and he does things for the right reason. But he's an absolute savage. Like, he works really hard, and when he goes, he shaves off his beard and his hair, and he steps in the ring. And you're like, fair play, Josh. You know what I mean? Like,
he is a beast, isn't he?
And then afterwards, he's like,
oh no!
Tired.
But also, do you know what makes me laugh a little bit? Like, he smashes someone to pieces, and then he goes over to go, "Oh, I'm really sorry they had to smash you."
Yeah.
But like, it was either me or you.
It's just business, right?
It's just business. Yeah. It's just business. And we're starting to see more of his personality, because people do try to needle him, and it's really lovely to see him stand up for himself and stuff as well.
And it's great, and the connection he has with Virgil, and there's lots of people that think, oh, why is he over there with Virgil and stuff? But when you understand the type of person,
mind your business.
Yeah, exactly. He's making a decision that's best for him. But when you look at the type of person Virgil is, and then obviously Jeff, the coach as well, they're amazing people. They're really, really nice people. I'm privileged to like call them friends. Like, they really are nice, and they make me feel at home when I come in for my short 4 days of camp or whatever at the fight time. But it's a no-brainer that they're getting on well. Because they're just really, it's a good environment for him to be in, I think.